These are the best moments when the Hulk went God mode.
And Hulk. Smash.
There's nothing like a sweet smile to start off your day, even if it's coming from a dude that would make any Giga Chad soil their pants. The moment Captain America told Hulk he could smash whatever he wanted, bro understood the assignment instantly and got to work faster than Usain Bolt finishes a race. Taking on the Chitauri army wouldn't have been a lot of work for him anyway, but just to see the Hulk wreaking havoc was a delight to watch. And yes, even though an entire fleet blasts shots at him later, it felt really iconic because the angry green giant didn't react as if he was being bested. It was more like a bunch of flies were annoying him. Alright, trivia time now. Which is the costliest MCU movie of all time? Let me know in the comments.
You're not gonna turn green?
I've got a compelling reason not to lose my cool.
I adore you.
You know, the Hulk is always about smash this and smash that, which is perfectly on point, but here, I suppose he finally learned the other meaning of the word. Plus, if you're getting Scarlett Johansson to teach you that meaning, then you've got to be the luckiest being on Earth, man or giant.
I really hope this makes us even. Now go be a hero.
The transformation eventually led to a rampaging Hulk who ended up smashing through Ultron's minions as if they were little plastic toys. I mean, how often do you see freaking robots running away from their enemy like a bunch of cowards? Yeah, that's exactly the kind of impact the Hulk has on you. Remember when Thanos told us that he used the stones to destroy the stones?
Well, he used the stones to destroy the stones.
Yeah, the Hulk did something similar all the way back in 2003. The fight against the tanks was pretty standard stuff if you consider a Hulk battle, as the angry green giant destroys all of the armoured vehicles without much fuss. Bro only got annoyed when a direct hit got him, but that only proved to be a minor inconvenience eventually. What really stood out to me was the way in which he ripped off parts of some tanks, only to go on and use them to destroy the other tanks. By the end of the scene, I guess you could say that the Hulk was the only real tank in attendance. Just like we saw with the tanks in the previous entry, you can try all the tricks in the book, but there's no way you'll ever be able to take down the Edward Norton version of the Hulk. His extended battle against the military was a brilliant and somewhat scary showcase of how brutal he can be if he doesn't feel like going easy on his opponents. Well, I'd say he still held back there, but there were times when I genuinely felt like he was going to take the damage to unforeseeable levels. Whether it was the transformation breakout, the destruction of the sonic cannons, or even the disrespectful kick he gave Blonsky right at the end, bro was an absolute savage. We all know he doesn't really talk much, but these actions pretty much meant, don't mess with a god, you puny mortals.
Is that all you got?
It was a real shame to see the same dude shown here slowly transitioning into a softer version with each following film. The first Mark Ruffalo Hulk transformation was so epic and scary that it felt like a great recasting at first. The scene where Loki's plan does come to fruition in the form of Hulk going berserk was greatly shot and had a lot of great elements to it. I mean, we got to see the angry green giant chasing after Black Widow and genuinely spooking her out, which of course feels a bit odd now, considering what I covered a little earlier on in the list. Then there's the fight with Thor, which was great to watch, but what really did it for me was when bro jumped on the jet and started dismantling it, prompting the pilot to scream, "Target angry!" All in all, it was a great mix of the factors that made the MCU such a commercial juggernaut until Endgame.
Target angry, target angry!
Give me the to.
So long, big boy.
At this point, taking down armies is a regular day job for the Angry Green Giant. We already saw it in the earlier entry, and now we see it again from the 2003 version. So I'll admit that the way they killed off Talbot here was straight up hilarious, but it doesn't take away from the fact that the Hulk totally destroyed an entire army base without even needing to pull out all the stops. I mean, they're trying to sedate him with sleeping gas and containment foam, so a certain chunk of the blame should also fall on the soldiers. As far as the Angry Green Giant is concerned, he made sure to wreak havoc wherever possible on his way out of the facility. I also like the comic transitions they used here. It showed the creators were at least putting in an effort.
Incoming! Shut down all power to the main hall.
Sir?
Show him the way out.
I may not be a fan of Smart Hulk, but I'll give it to him for reversing the one thing that made millions of people all over the world nervous at the end of Infinity War. The blip, as the MCU likes to call it, happened to be the most catastrophic event in the history of its existence, until She-Hulk came along. Bullshit! As it turns out, the male Hulk was the one who actually undid it with the snap of his fingers, but in order to do something like this, you probably need to have the strength of a divine being. Even a dude as powerful as the Angry Green Giant struggled to get it done because the power of the Infinity Stones far surpassed his own. It could be seen in the anguish and pain he had to go through in order to get the job done. But he still followed through and achieved exactly what the Avengers had hoped for him to do. In my opinion, if you're able to negate the deeds of the devil, then you're no lesser than a god yourself. Yep, I'm sure you may be expecting the mutated dogs to make an appearance here, but if we've gotten to Fenris without showcasing those barking abominations, I think it's safe to say that we won't see them ahead of this entry too. Say what you will in the comments about that, but I'm just going to go ahead and talk about how epic this battle was. If we forget the hilarious way Banner tried to act heroic, this was actually a super badass display of strength, because the Angry Green Giant actually makes light work of a beast considered to be the alpha weapon of the goddess of death.
Everything's gonna be alright now. I got this. You wanted to know who I am? You'll see!
Fenris isn't an easy opponent to defeat, as can be seen when Valkyrie was struggling to take him down even with an overload of bullets. So it was almost surreal for the Hulk to just randomly pop out and throw him away by his tail like a little puppy. The fight that followed wasn't shown in great continuity because this is a Thor movie after all, but it was still enough for fans to enjoy the tremendous strength the Hulk boasts. Yes, Fenris did manage to make him bleed, but that was all he could achieve because our man managed to throw him off a literal planet with his finisher punch. I do feel he was a bit underpowered here, but he still managed to beat Fenris, which is an achievement and a half. Imagine being so powerful that you can wreck an entire city simply because of a mood swing. That's right, people from Hollywood may keep complaining about the evils of California, but the Hulk is a man of few words, so he lets his actions do the talking for him. In this sequence, he starts off by nearly destroying a fighter jet all by himself, but then he gets frozen the same way Ironmonger did when he took on Iron Man in the MCU's first flick. Now, as far as the actual destruction is concerned, the Angry Green Giant leaves no stone unturned here, or in this case unsmashed, as he tears into San Francisco all by himself. Bro was wrecking roads and cars as if he was a kid breaking his own toys, but of course, with the added danger of the loss of life. Even with all those soldiers pointing their weapons at him, they all knew that they were nothing more than tiny insects in the presence of a supreme being. All it took though was for Betty to show her pretty face and calm down the Hulk with the power of love. I don't blame him though. Jennifer Connelly could put anyone at ease with her presence. very simple when it comes to warnings from Bruce Banner. If he tells you you're making him angry, stop making him angry.
Para, por favor. Eu, raiva, muito ruim.
Man, this transformation really hits the sweet spot, especially if you happen to be a fan of horror, much like yours truly. Glowing green eyes, flowing straight hair, and a temper that's unmatched to any other version. The Incredible Hulk's character design was a marvellous work of art that gave the perfect vibe, which was worthy of the character's persona. Now, this is essentially an instigated transformation that makes Bruce Banner lose control and go at the soldiers without mercy. He shows off his strength here as well by lifting things and throwing them, but it's the menacing growl and presentation of the character that gets him this high on the list. The way he looked at Blonsky was enough to make the soldier piss his own pants, which is definitely an achievement, considering this is the same dude who goes on to become Abomination. I also love the fact that they kept Hulk's face out of focus for the longest time, because that enhanced the eventual reveal by a lot. The Hulk and Thor have a playful relationship, if I'm putting it very lightly, and you'll see more of that as this list progresses. For now, the top 10 kicks off with the angry green giant making a mockery of the Chitauri army along with the God of Thunder. The Battle of New York gave the audience exactly what they wanted in the form of crazy action, great special effects, and the power of teamwork. Thor and Hulk both showed this while fighting together on top of another Leviathan. Their opponents may not have been as tough as the Leviathan itself, but they were definitely in higher numbers, which made this a commendable achievement. The real moment of truth, though, comes right after they're done with this batch and take a moment to soak in their achievement. The only thing is, the Hulk doesn't like anyone else sharing the spotlight, even if it might be the God of Thunder, so he smacks him away as if to say, "Yeah bro, your time's done now, get lost." I mean, that's pretty insulting across any kind of situation, but to do it to someone like Thor, I mean, that's an S-tier flex. I suppose bro was still a little salty after getting smacked a few times by Thor's hammer earlier.
I'll stop you, moron!
When something the size of an insect attacks you, can you ever imagine yourself moving backwards due to its momentum? No, right? You're completely unaffected in terms of physical movement, and you'd most likely end up shooing the insect away or just squishing it. By that same logic, what the Hulk did to Surtur was easily what most people would call a miracle. The size difference between them was ridiculous to say the least, and even then, the angry green giant was able to push Surtur back and even cause some damage before being thrown away. Now, this may feel like a blatant mockery of the Hulk, but please note that he wasn't really damaged or injured by that throw, and was ready to go for another round. It was only because of Thor asking him not to attack the big monster that the Hulk held himself back. It's a pretty badass moment, and the way the sequence builds into the eventual attack was also nothing short of extraordinary. It felt as if we were witnessing something that's larger than life, and the impact was definitely there. I do feel that Taika Waititi made this out to be a humorous gag, but make no mistake, the Hulk essentially proved he could take on someone who was at least 1,000 times his size.
Hulk, stop! Just for once in your life, don't smash!
Big monster!
Let's go!
Now, this may be controversial, but that's exactly why I'm only considering the first half of this fight and not the whole thing. Somebody like a Thanos would obviously be a massive headache to defeat, and he pretty much proved that on multiple occasions throughout this movie. However, the Hulk did cause him something of an inconvenience when he launched his surprise attack on the Mad Titan. It was an uplifting moment, albeit a temporary one for fans, as we all felt that maybe the Hulk would cause Thanos to run away and escape with whatever he'd salvaged. It was something we could believe because we'd already seen what the Hulk was capable of in the films before this one. I will put most of the blame on the writers and producers for this one though, because they really messed around with Hulk's power levels throughout the MCU. Also, I know I'm picking at straws here, but I do believe that the armor Thanos was wearing could have acted as shock absorbers for him. I mean, at the very least, he would have bled a little if he wasn't wearing such a strong defensive suit. And yes, this is where I end the entry, because what follows is most definitely not what you'd call God mode, well, at least for Hulk.
Let him have his fun.
It doesn't matter whether you use guns, tanks, or in this case helicopters against the Hulk, because he somehow finds a way to counter them all. Arnold Schwarzenegger may not have meant this when he said his iconic "Get to the chopper" line, but we'll take it anyway.
Get to the chopper!
The sequence where Hulk is trying to evade multiple helicopters gives us keen insight into his other skills, such as strategic thinking and speed. We're all about the angry green giant using his strength and all, but it's important to remember that he's not some brainless buffoon who just likes to smash everything he sees. There was some clear tactical thinking on display, as Hulk not only evaded the choppers, but managed to use his jumping skills in his favour. He was also able to take down a couple of helicopters all by himself, and I gotta give it to him for the one he gets by spitting the missile's explosive section right back at him. Ross really got annoyed upon seeing this, as could be judged by the look in his face, but then again, there's only so much you can do when you're up against such a formidable opponent. On a side note, the CGI is pretty damn good here for a movie that came out in 2003.
I have him in the rocks. Salvo all. Turn it into a parking lot.
It takes a lot for a son to be able to stand up to his father, let alone defeating him, but Bruce Banner is a different breed altogether, which is why the grand finale of 2003's Hulk gets a second entry back-to-back and was also a solid indicator of what his true capability is. The Absorbing Man is no side villain for sure, because his superpower is literally absorption, so by this logic, bro shouldn't even be losing a single fight. This was proved when Hulk was trying to punch his way out of trouble, but to no avail. However, that's when the power within exceeded the power outside and gave the Absorbing Man so much of a headache that he literally exploded from so much energy. Yes, that's right, the Hulk had so much power hidden inside that literal Absorbing Man couldn't handle it. If that feat doesn't get you a cult following of your own, then I don't know what will. I definitely love to see it because of the stark contrast in what Hulk shows himself to be and what he actually is deep within. It also proves that he doesn't fight full power even when he's angry, indicating that Bruce has some kind of a chokehold on him regardless of his state.
Hey, Banner.
No Banner, only Hulk.
What are you doing? It's me.
Some might say that it's an unfair entry considering how badly they wronged Thor towards the end of this matchup. However, since it's the Hulk going up against a literal god, I feel it should definitely find its place in the top 5. Bro was totally going to send the God of Thunder to his father, but then Thor remembered he had ethereal powers and awakened his Ultra form. Even so, when we look at how aggressive and favoured Hulk was throughout this battle, you could say that it wasn't a surprise to see him win, even if he had to rely on the Grandmaster pulling off a cheap trick. Also, let me just point out that the Hulk wasn't really out for the count even after being struck by a god-level move. He was essentially ready for round 2, but then Taika Waititi logic took over and Thor went down because of a teeny tiny shock device. In my opinion, I totally love the battle armor design they gave the Angry Green Giant here because it really made him look like a final boss. Honestly speaking, if they hadn't underpowered him as much as they did after the first Avengers movie, I feel he would have taken this match by a landslide regardless of Thor's power-up, but hey, I'm not going to argue about it too much.
Another day, another Doug.
Who would have thought that the lowest grossing MCU flick would have an entry as high as number 4 on this list? Well, technically speaking, The Incredible Hulk no longer holds that record. It's the Marvels. Ouch. Anyway, the point remains that this rendition of the Angry Green Giant has definitely seen an uptick when it comes to the favour of the fans, as he totally showed us what real rage is supposed to look like. His battle against Abomination proved this factor once more, especially towards the end when he used the iconic Hulk smash to save Betty from getting roasted like a beefsteak. It's true that Abomination was totally dominating the fight for the longest time, but for the Hulk to come back so strong and finish him off with such finesse was truly the mark of a supreme being. Let's not forget that he was actually going to off his opponent, but then Betty came along with that sweet face and those innocent eyes. Yeah, it's really hard to ignore such a request even when you're a nuclear muscle man. Man, I still wish we got more of Edward Norton playing Bruce Banner. He definitely brought a lot of nuance to the character, which was something that Mark Ruffalo just couldn't execute even with his acting prowess.
I'm sorry.
Ultron may not have liked what the world looked like on the internet, which is fair to a certain degree, but it most definitely shouldn't have led to the activation of a Hulk that's not under Banner's control. Anyway, even though the Hulk gets tamed by Tony Stark's Hulkbuster, I think it's a great display of the character's rage when he's not being suppressed by Banner. It's almost like a true version of the angry green giant who only seeks violence, even though it's a byproduct of his fear. The destruction he was causing would have seen no end if it hadn't been for Iron Man pulling out all the big guns, literally. The fight between the two was a key highlight of the movie, and you have to give it to the Hulk for being able to give Tony an extended scare, despite the Hulkbuster being designed specifically for him. One moment that struck me in particular was when the Hulk blocked Veronica's enhanced plasma cannon with nothing more than his bare hand. I know it's supposed to be an attack without lethal intent, but still, to play it off as a minor inconvenience, that was a total flex. Also, it took god-level wealth to purchase the building that proved to be the deciding factor in this match.
Now might be a really good time for you to get angry.
That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry.
The secret towards long-lasting strength is always anger, and if you don't believe me, then go ahead and argue with the Hulk. I'm sure he'll have a lot to say about your opinion. The Battle of New York didn't really kick off, in my opinion, until Bruce Banner made a rather not-so-spectacular entrance on a little scooter. That's because only a few moments later, Bro revealed the secret of his power and proved it with a single punch, taking down a whole Leviathan in the process. The Hulk is definitely known to be a super powerful entity, but I don't think that anyone would have expected to see such strength from a single punch. It truly does make a case for his place as the strongest Avenger in the squad, pending approval from Thor's ego. But yes, the entire sequence from Bruce turning around while transforming and then smacking the gigantic beast with a super punch was a lot to take in. I'm obviously saying that in a good way, because I don't think you're going to come across a lot of people who can pull off what the angry green giant did. Plus, from the way things went after that, I still feel that Bro was probably just trying to warm up for the battle with this strike. Let me remind you once again that Iron Man's lasers couldn't do anything to the Leviathan's exterior, but the Hulk easily took it down in a single smash. We're going 2 for 2 from the same movie now, but we shouldn't be surprised, considering we got some great content from 2012's The Avengers. And yes, the most epic moment from this whole video also happens to be one of the funniest scenes in the entire MCU. I suppose you could say this proves the angry green giant has a keen sense of humour as well. It's in the middle of the Battle of New York when Loki gets suddenly ambushed by the Hulk and goes on the kind of rant that any annoyed parent would associate with their bratty child. Of course, the Hulk isn't the type you'd call a father figure, so he took that as his license to totally smash Loki to oblivion. It was such a sudden and casual moment that shocked fans while also making them laugh. This was the kind of humour that made the MCU special because it would come when you'd least expect it, but it would also have a lasting impact. I mean, all things considered, Loki is still the god of mischief, but the way in which he gets violated here leaves everyone in the audience calling him the exact same thing his attacker did: puny. Bro's face had the expression of literally having met death, and I personally feel that if the Hulk really wanted to, he could have ended Thor's adopted brother rather easily. See, now this is the kind of dominance that makes a character worthy enough to have his own video on God Mode moments.
Puny God.
Hope you like this video. Please subscribe to the TV Regent, and here's another video that I know you're going to enjoy.